Today we talk trench warfare. I'm going over the hog mollies, the big boys up front, and I'm going to give you my top 10 offensive tackles in the 2026 NFL draft. And let me tell you, this class is more reminiscent of 2024, where we had a lot of first round caliber tackles opposed to last year. That 2025 class, biggest question is, are these guys guards or tackles? And I don't have those questions, at least right now, when it comes to this class. So let's go ahead, get into this sucker. Of course, stick around until the end because I'm going to go over some honorable mentions. But without further ado, number 10, Austin Barber out of Florida. He's 6'6", 322 pounds, former four-star recruit out of the 2021 recruiting class. Also played basketball back in high school, but he redshirts his freshman year in 2021. And then in 2022, he actually starts part of the year at right tackle. Headed into 2023, he is the full-fledged starter at left tackle. He starts the first 8 games. Then he has a season-ending upper body injury. Last year, started all 13 games at left tackle, and I thought he did hella good. So much so, I got a third-round projection on him, and I can definitely see a world where he becomes a first-round prospect. He's got prototypical size and length for the position. His hands are very, very active. He does a great job of initiating contact and replacing his hands when he needs to. He's got solid feet, good wide base, but it's really that hand usage that keeps him on balance and probably one of the best assets when it comes to his game. He's a smooth mover and pass pro, does a really good job of mirroring defenders. Also very fluid mover in the run game, very quick first step, good lateral ability, gets his landmarks and gets to the second level with urgency, often landing blocks on the second level, and he will keep his feet moving through contact. I say it in every video because I think regardless of position, if you keep them legs churning and moving through contact, it just translates regardless of position. And he does that. He uses his hands to redirect well and seal off defenders out of rush lanes. He does a good job torquing as well, so you see some upper body strength there. He's got experience in both tackle spots. Remember, back in 2022, he had 5 starts at right tackle, and he's got a ton of special teams experience on the field goal unit. Now let's talk about maybe some of the bad. Now, he does play with a bit of a high pad level, makes it tough to anchor and re-anchor versus power. He can be a bit eager to be first at the point of attack, is probably the best way to put it. Occasionally will overextend and just kind of opens himself up to counters and just kind of getting tossed. The play strength, I don't necessarily think like he can hold off a guy. He could be more so that roadblock rather than that bulldozer, that true like road grader. But I just don't see the play strength to actually like drive guys consistently off the line of scrimmage. When he is on the back heel, he will hold on for dear life. Kind of leads to flags, 22 penalties over the course of his career. Last year, 9 penalties, and probably a big part of why he's here at number 10 rather than I probably could have put him as high as, I'd argue he could have been 7 on this list for me because honestly, the pass pro is pretty darn impressive when it comes to Barber. At number 9, it's Jennings Dunker out of Iowa. He's 6'5", 316 pounds. Former 3-star recruit out of the 2021 recruiting class. He played offensive line and defensive line in high school. He also participated in track and field. He also wrestled in high school, which, hey, offensive line coaches, they love if you have that wrestling background. They just do. He shows up at Iowa. He ends up redshirting his freshman season because of a lower leg injury. And then in 2022, he made his first start in the bowl game, in the Music City Bowl, and that was at right guard. He ends up started all 13 games started 13 games in 2023 at right tackle. He remained at right tackle this past season where he was second team all Big Ten. And let me tell you, when I turned on the tape, golly, I think he even made a little X post about it. This man's run blocking is freaking impressive. Might be the best run blocker in this class. Just scary. He can move men against their will. I wrote so much about him just as a run blocker. I'm just going to go through it. Utterly nasty demeanor, will deplete and bury defenders. Wrestling background, has the grip strength like an anaconda vice. That's right. There's a wrestling reference, like a WWE wrestling entertainment, not actual Olympic wrestling. But yeah, man, he's a very enthusiastic blocker as well. Keeps the feet churning through contact. He plays to and through the whistle. Surprising foot quickness, takes precise angles to hit landmarks. Climbs to the second level just with heat-seeking vision. He's going to seek out someone and go ruin their day. That's just how he is. A very powerful punch, capable of stunning pass rushers. So now let's get into a little bit of the pass rushing, because that is where, like, there's good there, but there's going to probably a majority of my gripes come from what he is currently as a pass protector. But he's got strong hands, plays with a wide base, able to re-anchor quickly after initial losses, picks up stunts and blitzes pretty quickly, shows good pre-snap recognition, unmatched motor, just physicality. He's the same guy with the first play of the game as he is the last play of the game. You just love that. And this is a fun fact. So back-to-back Salone Beef Days hay barrel toss champion. He set the record in 2023. Didn't compete in 2024, though it was still won by an Iowa offensive lineman. But past winners of this event were like Tristan Wirfs. You had, I think, Tyler Linderbaum finished third one year in this event. So I'm not saying it's an indicator. I'm just saying that there's a couple of guys that did well in this hay barrel toss that are among the top of their position in the NFL. Okay, suspect arm length. Again, until we get actual measurements, I'm just kind of eyeballing this, and it doesn't seem. I'm not saying you should kick him into guard necessarily, but there are a lot of times where it looks like guys are just able to get into his pads with relative ease, just because he doesn't have that extension. But he plays tall, does struggle to establish and maintain leverage, looks uncomfortable moving backwards in pass protection, swings the arms in his kick slide, and then engages contact with wide hands. Lets defenders into the pads too easily. Kind of already mentioned that. He leans into contact, so there's a little overextension going on there. Adequate mirroring ability, but speed rushers can get the corner on him. And he ends up on the ground more times than you would like. And you kind of see that where he likes to lean into contact. He wants to decleat people. He wants to go for the kill shot. And he just overextends and ends up on the ground. But I'm a big fan of this dude's game. I like him quite a lot, whether he ends up being a guard or a tackle. Length is going to be important when it comes to his offseason draft process. Like I said, I don't have precise measurements, but there were things in his game that kind of indicated, okay, maybe arm length could be an issue here. Before we get to number 8 on this list, I got to give a shout out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. If you download the app and sign up with promo code Broshmo, they match that first deposit up to $1,000 dues. It's the best place to play weekly best ball. You can get in them best ball leagues right now, right away, or you can play higher or lower on player stats, because hey, we're in the MLB. Get in on the baseball action. Football just a few months away, and playing higher and lower is hella fun during the football season. But as always, please play responsibly, play within your means. But if you do choose to sign up at Underdog Fantasy and download the app, then you're signing up with promo code Broshmo. But let's go ahead, get back to offensive tackle talk. And number 8, it's Cage Casey out of Boise State. He's 6'5", 316 pounds, former 3-star recruit out of the 2022 recruiting class. Fun fact, he's from Clackamas, Oregon. This is the one thing I like, going back and looking at what high schools these guys went to specifically, and I'm always learning new cities, right? Clackamas, that's a hell of a name. I love that. But he goes to Boise State. He redshirts his freshman year. 2023, he started all 14 games at left tackle. He was a second team All-Mountain West. 2024, rinse and repeat, except for I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to be a first team All-Mountain West. And let me tell you, this guy has had multiple opportunities the last 2 seasons, to go to a Power 4 program. He has been offered lucrative NIL money to go to a Power 4 program. And so was Ashton Genty, but they're like, no, we made our name at Boise State. We're going to stay loyal to Boise State. I already kind of have my name buzzing in the draft community. So I'm going to stick to some place that I know, that I'm familiar with, that brought me up. And I'm going to just play my game, have a good year, and I'm going to blow the offseason draft process out of the water. And if he does that, could be another dude we see as a potential first rounder. As it stands now, I got a 3rd round grade on him. And before we get into the cons, because I like to finish with the cons, I want to first talk about what I like about the guy. And you get prototypical size. It seems like he's got adequate length for the position. He keeps good pad level out of his stance and plays with very active hands. He shows decent pop when going to clear his pads. You see a good arm extension. So this, even if he might have suspect length, which I think it's fine, I really do. But yeah, you look at some pictures and it's like, is it though? Is it? And I'll get to another guy on this list where during the tape, it's like, yeah, I don't really notice. Like, people talk about the arm length being suboptimal. I didn't really notice that on his tape. And then, yeah, I'm going to get pictures for the overlays, and I'm like, maybe they do have shorter arms than I thought. Again, it's just nice to get those actual numbers out there. So that's going to be key. But like I was saying, he still gets good arm extension when he needs to go and clear his pads. He shows decent pop, rarely overextends when letting his hands go. Very good balance. Feet never get tied up. The legs churn through contact. Again, I love that. He got better at handling stunts as the season went on. I watched a few of his early games and I was like, I don't really think he's got the feel to pick that stuff up. But by the end of the year, man, he was utterly phenomenal. He really, really was. He was only flagged once over the last 2 seasons, and he played a lot of special teams, again, doing field goal unit work. Now, he will overset at times, opening up the door for pass rushers just to cross his face, hit him with inside moves. The anchor struggled versus guys who did a good job at converting speed to power. You could go to that Penn State game. It was a bit of a struggle. I'm trying to remember the other game. I don't think it was the Oregon. I just can't remember off the top of my head. There was another game where I was like, oh, okay. He kind of has a little difficulty with these speed to power guys. He doesn't do a great job of picking up on stunts. Again, this was something that got better as the year went on. But when you did see him not pick it up, he was often laid out by that interior player that's forcing his way outside, like knocked off his feet. So not great. He won't maintain leverage after contact in the run game. He gets upright. So he just gradually rises and loses leverage. But there's a lot to really like about him. And with a strong off-season process, if this ends up being a guy just buzzing around as a potential first rounder, it really, really won't shock me. At number 7, it's Blake Miller out of Clemson. He is 6'6", 315 pounds, former 3-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class. He played offensive tackle, primarily left tackle, in high school, along with defensive tackle. He was a 4-year starter in high school. He also participated in track and field, holding many of the school's weight room records. And as a youth, he won the OAC state championship in wrestling. So, watch out, wrestling background. Shows up at Clemson, and he's an immediate starter. He started all 14 games at right tackle, was a first team freshman All-American, and then in 2023, he started all 13 games at right tackle and was a third team All-ACC. Last year, he started 12 games at right tackle and then 2 at left. So, okay, he played left tackle in high school. He's mainly played right tackle at Clemson, but I think he's shown some flexibility to be able to play both sides. But he was a first team All-ACC last year, and it's real easy to see why a lot of people maybe like him and they expect him to take that next step up, right? Prototypical size and length for the tackle position, incredibly flexible, sinks his hips low, and I mean low, keeps a good pad level. Good body control when working backwards, quick, nimble feet, frequently stays on balance, does a great job mirroring defenders, just of all ilks. It doesn't matter if you're a speed to power, pure power, more of a finesse guy, speed rusher that just wants to go up around the arc on you. He's shown that he can handle all types of pass rushers in pass pro. Great lateral agility, really just a smooth mover, whether it's vertically or horizontally. Plays with heavy hands, has a very devastating punch to just stun defenders. I'm not saying it's like a brick through a car windshield, but there's some pop there that can stop the momentum of pass rushers. Good grip strength as well. He does a good job redirecting defenders. Patient but direct with his hands in pass pro. He's able to replace them quickly when they are swatted away. He dropped his penalties to 1, and that's after the last 2 years or 2 years prior. He had 16 penalties. This past season, only 1. So that's great. Let's see if he can maintain that. If he could keep just low penalties. Let's see if he can keep doing that. He's been a full-time starter since arriving at Death Valley. He also has a good amount of special teams experience, again, primarily on the field goal unit. That's where these guys are going to have special teams experience. But I just don't see the play strength or the physicality in his run blocking. Not a real true people mover. He can be yanked and pushed out of the way. There are reports that that's something he has been working on. He knows it's a weak spot in his game, and he has spent this past off season trying to get better at that. So it's going to be something to watch out for. He can be a bit hesitant when attacking moving targets, takes time to gather, lead into the occasional whiff. Anchor can be inconsistent versus power. He can be a bit light in the pants in that regard. Hands come in low sometimes, makes it easy for them to be swatted. Did struggle with false starts in the past, so that'll be something to see. Again, got better with penalties over the last year. But much like the other guys, I think at least from a tools athletic standpoint, yeah, you can see a potential first rounder. I'm not quite there based on his tape last year. I'm like, I don't know about top 50, but definitely in that maybe midday 2 area, and could work himself into the first round. That's going to be kind of the case for a lot of these tackles on this list. At number 6, it's Caleb Lomu out of Utah. I think it's Lomu, but I haven't heard it again. All 22, you're not hearing these guys' names, but I'll look up the pronunciation eventually. But he's 6'6", 304 pounds. Got a top 50 grade on him. Former 4-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. Redshirted his freshman season, and then last year he was the full-time starter at left tackle. And I got, again, top 50 grade. I think he can be a first rounder, but he only has that 1 year of starting experience. Maybe he works himself into the first round discussion after another year if it's really rinse and repeat with him. But I think realistically, you can see him in the 2027 recruiting class. Gojo busting through the door here. But he's got a long-limbed frame. He gets out of his stance very quickly, very smooth in his kick slide. The ability to mirror, he does with very little effort. Just very good movement skills, good foot quickness, very flexible. He's able to recover well from initial losses. The movement skills are just really good. He's able to pull across the formation. I think he's ideally built for an outside zone, wide zone blocking scheme. Uses the hands really well, and he will also does a good job swatting defenders' hands away. And you definitely see that there's a lot of effort in him trying to keep his pads clean. I think he's got adequate strength. He can redirect defenders in the run game. He's got a solid enough anchor in pass pro, but he is a bit lean, but he's young. He can definitely add more mass to his frame, so I'm not worried about that. But he doesn't have that finisher mentality in the run game. He does need to do a better job of sustaining blocks in the run game. And there are times where he just waits patiently for defenders to move before actually reacting. Like, he lets defenders kind of into his pads without consequence. So he could probably make better use of his length. Again, just generates very little movement in the run game. 1-year starter, young player. He's going to develop. And so I'm not really too worried about him, but he might end up being more of a 2027 part of that draft class rather than next year's. But time will tell. We shall see. At number 5 is actually another Utah tackle. It's Spencer Fano. He's 6'6", 302 pounds, former 4-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. His brother Logan is also an offensive lineman at Utah. His sister plays basketball at Utah Valley, and his uncles. He had 4 uncles who played college ball and had stints in the NFL. So there's an athletic pedigree to this family. It's kind of nuts, kind of wild. He was immediately a starter at Utah. He had 11 starts at left tackle, 1 start at right tackle. And then last year he's a full-time right tackle. He was a first team all Big 12, but it's nice to see that he has experience on both sides of the offensive line. And I get why people are just very high on him, because he is so explosive out of his stance. He looks shot out of a cannon, generates a lot of power on contact, rare movement skills. I mean, it's why I got a first-round grade on him, but some people have him in the top 10, and I get it. I really do. His combination of speed and power just annihilates defenders in the run game. He creates good torque with strong hands. He can absolutely just displace defenders in the run game. The leg drive is there. He has that just that nasty demeanor, that mentality the NFL just absolutely loves. The foot quickness really helps him recover from initial losses. He mirrors defenders relatively well, does a good job of picking up stunts, can switch off defenders very smoothly, and people have pointed out the lack of arm length. That's going to be probably the biggest knock with him. I didn't get that from his film. I could be wrong, and this was the case where I went to go get photos for him, and I was like, and there were photos with him and Lomu, and I'm like, Lomu looks a lot longer than Spencer here. So I'm not 100% sure. Again, I kind of hate to eyeball length. Sometimes it's obvious. Other times it's like, not really. I mean, we're talking about inches here. So we'll find out. We'll find out eventually. He does lack ideal mass and needs to add more to his frame. But again, a young player, we're talking about a true junior here. Occasionally he does overset, inviting defenders to cross his face and just give him some inside moves. When pulling and climbing to the second level, he can miss his target because of just how fast he plays. And there is really no special teams experience to speak of, but that's not really the end all be all when it comes to the offensive line. But Fanu, I get why people like him. There's just a few guys in this class I like a bit more. At number 4, it's Caleb Tiernan out of Northwestern. He's 6'7", 329 pounds, former 4-star recruit out of the 2021 recruiting class. He played offensive tackle and defensive end in high school, also played basketball. Redshirt his freshman year in 2021. He had 5 starts at right tackle in 2022, became the full-time starter in 2023, and he has been the full-time starter since. So 2 full years of just being the full-time starter. He will have 3 years straight, as long as everything goes well and he doesn't get hurt. But golly, this dude is tall with adequate length and a good wide base. Probably one of the most well put together pass protectors in this class, in my opinion. He had like a win percentage on true pass sets of 98.3%. And I think outside of Cage Casey out of Boise, that was probably best on the list. And I mean, Tiernan, he's playing in the Big Ten. So he's playing some very good talent there at Northwestern. And golly, guys, this dude is smooth. He's quick out of his stance. He remains patient. He waits to the perfect time to actually engage. The footwork is masterful when mirroring defenders. Despite his height, he's got that flexibility. He can sink his hips well, keep a good pad level. He's got really good hand placement and technique. He's precise with the timing, and he keeps his mitts inside, right around kind of the strike zone of the defender and keeps in their pads. He does a great job of that. He's able to sniff out secondary moves and counters immediately, and he always, for the most part, adjusts appropriately. He stays vigilant for studs and extra blitzers. Impeccable timing when picking up on studs. Really, it really is. He was never out-muscled. And I mean, at 329, you better not be out-muscled. He's got a strong anchor, and he's able to take on power rushers. He has the power to drive defenders in the run game, and he's able to redirect with very strong hands. There is a lot to like about him. With that tall build, skyscraper build, he sinks well, but it's going to be a battle trying to consistently keep leverage. It just is when you are a taller tackle. He moves well for his size, but speed rushers can get the best of him around the arc. Violent as a run blocker, or at least his violence as a run blocker comes and goes. Like, there are times where he's more roadblock than road grader, bulldozer. So I'd like to see a little bit more consistency with that. He can become a bit of a lunger at the second level. Occasionally he would miss guys that were coming in on delayed blitzes, but there's just so much to like about Tiernan here that I couldn't keep him out as first round. I'm just going to kind of stamp my flag on him going into the year as he's kind of a my guy. And then I want to speak about another my guy. It's Trevor Gooseby out of Texas. He's 6'7", 309 pounds. Former 3-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class, and he doesn't have a lot of playing time to his name. He was mainly a backup in 2023 and 2024. He did play in 8 games, but he only had 1 start. He really only had 4 games where he saw significant playing time. He had to step in for Kelvin Banks when he was hurt during warmups prior to the SEC championship game. That's where he got his first start. Or no, he got his first start against Arizona State in the playoffs, but he had to step in for Banks, and he actually had two games where he played right tackle and 2 games where he played left tackle. So we actually saw him have to step up, and he did so against significant competition. Texas A&M, Clemson, Arizona State, and Georgia. I believe those were the games. Was it Texas A&M? Yeah, it was Texas A&M. So yeah, that's very good competition, having to step up, and then also you're getting starts at 2 different tackle spots. He did have 6 penalties over the course of the season, but in those 4 games where he played a significant amount of snaps, he only had 3 penalties. Still pretty high, but for a guy this is his first taste of playing time, I thought he did a hell of a good job. He's got prototypical size and length for the tackle position, and he is incredibly hard to move. It never looked like he was outmatched or outmuscled. He possesses good pop behind his hands to keep defenders off kilt. Shows some good leg drive in the run game. Does a nice job on combo blocks. Shows a little bit of stank in the run game as well. Just when he's out there, like, hey, go hit somebody, he will hit them. It doesn't feel like he was, I will say, it doesn't feel like he was moving like super fast, like to an elite level. But there are reports that he was at some points last year going 20 miles per hour on the field. I didn't get that. And there are very, very, and I mean very few opportunities for an offensive lineman to actually get that type of like just runway where he's going to be running that fast. But it is reported that he's going to have some elite speed. So, and again, like, he glides out there, like, really good mover. We're talking like 1 percentile. Like, he's going to be in the 1 percentile when it comes to that type of speed. That's just kind of insane. But he's both agile and patient. Never felt like he really overset. And I mean, I guess it's important to bring up. Like, you go to that Georgia game, and he got beat a couple of times on a Euro step, and I think you saw that in another one of the games as well. I couldn't remember which. But after that, like, no, okay, you noted. I'll have that in my memory banks, and I'll be able to efficiently take care of it if I see it again. And he certainly did. So again, early in games, maybe beat by a Euro step. wasn't a problem later in the game. So that was kind of cool. There are times where he can be too eager to get to the point of attack. A few times where he was just brushed to the side, but I mean, again, first time starter. One-time starter, actually. But, I mean, you look at his win rate on true pass sets, 97.7%. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. It really, really is. He did struggle to locate defenders in the zone run game. Had some frustrating missed blocks. Really was. He's a work in progress when it comes to picking up on stunts, but he gradually got better at that during the game. And he could definitely do a better job of resetting his hands during the rep. This year is going to be a very good litmus test as him as a full-time starter. What does he look like? And a lot of people were talking a lot about Cam Williams last year. Cameron Williams, oh, he's busting on the scene as a first-time starter. There were a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys. For me, Gooseby, there were a lot of peaks. Like, I never felt like, oh, this game was abysmal from him. I just didn't get that. I thought he did a really, really good job, and I look forward to seeing. I'm willing to plant my flag in him as a borderline top 10 pick if things go right. But again, there's a lot of projection happening when it comes to Gooseby. At number 2 is Caden Proctor out of Alabama. He's 6'7", 360 pounds, former 5-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. He also played basketball and participated in track and field as a thrower back in high school, but was an immediate starter when he showed up to Alabama. Started all 13 games at left tackle, was a part of the All-SEC freshman team, and then last year, he initially, after Nick Saban decided to retire, he initially was going to go to Iowa. I think he showed up there for spring practices and was like, yeah, I'm going back to Alabama, and he ended up, he ended up being the full-time starter at left tackle. Did miss the first 2 games with a shoulder injury, but he ends up making second team all SEC. And when it comes to his placement on this list, it's all tools based. He is a mountain of meat, a very imposing frame, but he's such a wonderful athlete. Nasty as a run blocker, absolutely engulfs defenders. Strong hands allow him to wash defenders out of the way. The leg drive is nuts with him. More flexible than he has any right to be. Sinks low, gets a good pad level. And he's light-footed. It moves so well laterally, and it's just wow. He can make up he takes up a good amount of ground just by himself with his build, but he moves exceptionally well. It's just kind of preposterous at his size. He does a good job of keeping eyes out for stunts or blitzers. He reacts relatively quickly to be able to neutralize those. Has the athleticism to recover from early losses to save the rep. Always looking for busy work, which I like. He's not going to sit there and just dance around in place solo. He's going to go out there and find some busy work, whether it's helping out the guard or whatnot. He's going to go out and hit somebody. When it comes to, I think either you're going to be lower on him because technically it's not quite there yet, or you're going to have him in the top 10 because it's just, again, at that size, offensive line coaches are going to look at him and be like, I got the tools. I could coach those tools. Listen, he carries the hands low and wide. Got away with a few holding calls. I think he was only flagged, 4 times last year? It should have been higher. Quite frankly, should have been higher. He needs to develop some hand counters. Just more experienced pass rushers got the best of him. Relies too much on raw power. Will get caught leaning into blocks. The anchor and leverage gave way later in games when he was more fatigued. So you go back to like fourth quarters and it's like, okay, he's not sinking nearly as low, or at least what he's capable of. And a lot of that was probably exhaustion. Doesn't always latch on to keep engagement, so he needs to do a better job of sustaining blocks longer. And there were some whiffs at the second level. He'll dip the head and loses sight of defenders. So again, from a technical standpoint, a lot to work on. From a tool standpoint, he's going to be a first rounder, probably. Just is. At number 1, it's Francis C.C. Maui Noah out of the U. Miami, baby. 6'6", 315 pounds, former 5-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. He did play left tackle his senior year, but the year prior he did have to play right because Tyler Booker was playing left tackle, former Alabama guard and now Dallas Cowboy first round pick. So he has 1 year experience at left tackle. Also, you might be familiar with some of his brothers. Frederick played center for Washington State. He spent some time with the Panthers and the Bengals, while Francisco was a linebacker at Washington State, transferred to Miami, and then he just got drafted this year in the 5th round by the New York Jets. He's playing linebacker. I think CC is probably the best of the bunch. He was immediately a starter at Miami, started all 13 games his freshman year at right tackle. Rinse and repeat, did it again this past season. He was a second team all ACC. I'm very comfortable in giving him a top 10 grade. I think he is the best tackle in this class. He's got prototypical size and length. He's a very smooth mover, climbs to the second level just very quickly with urgency. Nasty finisher in the run game. He's able to maintain balance through contact, consistently plays with great leverage, and he just keeps the legs churning and driving. He's got good leg drive. He will play to and through the whistle. He'll keep the legs driving through contact, and the hands are so darn quick. They're quick. They're violent. He is tough to disengage from once you have engaged contact with him. Very good anchor. Even when he deploys his anchor late, he's able to stop a rusher's momentum relatively quickly. Nimble feet, can mirror about anybody. He's able to adjust to counters very swiftly, and he can be a mauler in the run game. Like, this dude can be a savage in the run game. But when it comes to pass protection, he is calm, cool, collected. He is a calm cucumber when it comes to pass pro. Is he a perfect prospect? No. There's some like technical stuff I think is a little funky with him. Like when comes out of his stance, he keeps his inside arm out. Like he's trying to like anticipate like a defender coming inside, or maybe it's trying to maintain balance. I don't know why it's out there exactly, while he has the other one out there used to punch. And there's going to be times where he mistimes and misplaces his punches. He keeps his hands face down, like goes like essentially like this rather than face up and actually attack with the palms. So he could definitely wield a lot more power in his strikes with that. So we're talking about like little technical aspect of his game that are relatively easy fixes. He does keep his head on a swivel, but will now and then miss some delayed blitzers. He's more fluid of a mover than he is actually explosive, but still tests out really, really well. I think he's easily my tackle one in this class. But I guess without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's talk about some of these honorable mentions. As my number 11 was Isaiah World out of Oregon. I think a lot of people are going to have him in their top 10. I have a 3rd round grade on him if it makes you feel better. He's formerly of Nevada. Now he makes the move to Oregon. And I get why people like him. He 6'8", 303, but he moves really well. He shows some good flexibility. However, penalties have been a huge problem with him. He had a career low last year, 8 penalties, 32 penalties over the last, I believe, 3 seasons. So you kind of want to see him get better at that. He needs to add more play strength to that frame, and he could overextend a bit. But when it comes to him being an athlete, and to be fair, I think he is a bit more. At least he was thicker than what Oregon currently lists his size at. He looked thicker in Nevada, so we'll see. But I get why people like him. It's just I like the other guys a bit more. A few of the guys that I have early day 3 grades on, I got Wisconsin's Riley Mahlman, another guy that's just built like a skyscraper. It's 6'8", 320 pounds. The hands aren't great. He attacks with wide hands, so he lets guys into that kind of that strike zone, lets them into their pads, and then when you're that tall, it's going to be easy to get under your pad. So there are some concerns there, but I think he's a good athlete that has a little pop in those hands. Also, Brian Parker the second out of Duke. I think he's more of a guard. He's 6'5", 300 pounds. Gojo entering the fray here as well. And then a lot of people have talked a lot of good stuff about Emil Wagner out of Notre Dame. He might be the lightest guy that I watched at 293 pounds. I kind of felt like he was heavier. Like he looked bigger on film, but might be just something in a monitor. I think he's just got average play strength. Like it shows up here and there. He was occasionally exploited by speed around the corner. You could look at Abdul Carter or Ashton Jalote last year. But I mean, he's got fluid hips. The footwork's solid. Knows how to use his hands individually and plays with good leverage. So there's stuff to like about. Last year was his first year as a starter. Let's see if we see some let's see if we see a good step up. And then maybe we could talk about him as a top 100 prospect. I'm a sucker for Tristan Lay out of Clemson, the left tackle there. But he's probably going to be a mid to late day 3 guy. It's just the play has never been exceptionally consistent with him. And I felt like last year was a bit of a down year. He was on my summer watch list last year, and I think I had like an early to mid day 3 grade on him, and I was just like, hey man, he might not be great all the time, but I love the effort of this dude. And then last year, it kind of felt like the play dipped quite a bit. There's the Texas A&M duo. You got Trey Zahn, who he just feels solid. Feels solid. I don't know if it's top 100. I'm more like fifth round. Feel like it's kind of an adequate area for him. Demetrius Crownover. I know he's young, but like he's big, and I guess that's why people like him. I didn't love the tape. I didn't love it a lot. I feel like at that size, he needs to be more of a bully, and I just don't know if he's got that dog in him. I just don't. Carter Smith was another guy that a lot of people are talking about. I kind of feel like he's a guard, but golly, he plays with that dog in him, and he moves really, really well. Like he's a fun player. JC Davis out of Illinois is also another fun player. Kind of more of a midday 3, I think, in my opinion. And he's going to probably be more of a gap blocking scheme type of player who honestly might end up at guard too. But I think he could probably stick at tackle in the right scheme in the NFL. But I think probably the only other guy I really want to mention here, I gave him a to be determined grade. It's Elijah Pritchett. Formerly of Alabama, now he's at Nebraska. All the tools in the world. Was a first-year starter last year. Completely looked like a first-year starter. He's got tools. Let's see if we see a good jump up from him. And quite frankly, could be a guy that ends up coming out in 2020, being a guy in the 2027 class. Again, we shall see. But let me know who are some of your favorite tackles in this class, or maybe guys you think I need to go watch. There are a few other guys on the list, but we can talk about them in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.